and it looked like Caitlin Clark has suffered yet another hard foul, and the referees failed to make a call.
This officiating crew is horrible. Dream fever. It was awful. It was terrible. Oh, the refs are hilarious tonight.
Caitlin Clark just got robbed, and not by a burglar, but by the refs in broad daylight with a whistle and a smirk. The Atlanta Dream didn't just steal the win, they snatched it like a raccoon in a garbage can, messy, loud, and totally shameless. Was this basketball or a magic show where fouls disappear into thin air? Because the only thing more crooked than these calls is a Pirates GPS.
Dream, I got to come out and say, all jokes aside, Brittany Griner was an absolute beast tonight. But I'm not sure there was a bigger beast in the arena than the officiating in this game, which was absolutely brutal. Now, before we just jump right into it, let me tell you this. Aaliyah Boston, Caitlin Clark.
Caitlin Clark just learned her toughest opponent isn't a rival guard, a full-court press, or even Atlanta's defense. It's three people dressed like zebras who apparently moonlight as illusionists. Because on this magical evening of basketball sorcery, the refs didn't just miss calls, they reinvented the rules like they were auditioning for America's Got No Standards. The Indiana Fever showed up ready to play basketball. The Atlanta Dream showed up ready to play dodgeball, and the refs, well, they showed up ready to cosplay as traffic cops at rush hour, arms flailing, blowing whistles, and causing chaos, except with no understanding of the flow of the game or reality.
But I'm not sure there was a bigger beast in the arena than the officiating in this game, which was absolutely brutal. Now,
Caitlin Clark dribbled up the court with the poise of a generational talent, and within 5 minutes, the officials were treating her like she'd committed a federal offense just for existing. It was as if her mere presence on the hardwood violated some obscure subsection of the WNBA's "Thou shalt not be popular" clause. She'd barely touched the ball before the first mystery whistle blew. Foul? On her? For what? Breathing? Or was it blinking too fast in the general direction of a Dream player's aura? No one knew, not even the refs. They just stared at each other like they'd accidentally hit the button on their microwaves instead of making a rational call.
Indiana Fever head coach Stephanie White and how teams are going to play the Fever. They're going to push us, they're going to shove us, they're going to hold us, they're going to do whatever they're allowed to get away with. We're going to have to figure out a way to use that physicality against them. We're going to have to figure out a way to use that physicality against them. And that is the best. That is the best.
Meanwhile, Atlanta's defense was more hands-on than a chiropractor on commission. There were so many elbows, body checks, and hip thrusts, you'd think we'd wandered into a WWE tag team match. And yet, silence. The refs observed it all with the enthusiasm of mall security watching a food court dance-off. 0 calls, 0 awareness, maximum delusion. But oh, Caitlin so much as glanced in the wrong direction. Whistle, technical, existential foul, personal offense to the entire legacy of the WNBA. It was like the refs were conducting a private vendetta disguised as officiating. Somewhere in a dusty manual labeled "How Not to Officiate a Game," there's a picture of this exact matchup. At one point, Clark drove to the basket, absorbed contact that would have sent most of us to physical therapy, and still managed to finish the play, only to look up and realize the refs had apparently taken a quick nap. The only thing missing was a "Be Right Back" sign taped to the scorer's table. You could see the confusion in her eyes. Not frustration, confusion. Like she'd entered a universe where up is down, fouls are optional, and referees base decisions on horoscopes. Oh, you're a Virgo rising? Sorry, that's a blocking foul. The Atlanta Dream, bless their hearts, played hard. But let's not kid ourselves. They were handed the game on a silver whistle by refs who were less interested in fairness and more invested in speed-running their careers into the twilight zone. Every time Caitlin found a rhythm, the Zebras pounced like they'd been promised free Starbucks for each disrupted play. The irony? Clark's crime wasn't being overly aggressive or disrespectful. Her crime was being noticeable, famous. A walking headline with a jump shot. The kind of player who threatens the very fabric of WNBA officiating mediocrity by demanding they actually do their jobs.
They need to be investigated ASAP. We see what's happening with Caitlin Clark. There's no reason you shouldn't be protected your star player. Because without Caitlin Clark, there won't be no sold out arenas. The viewership on TV would not be like it is now, where everybody's watching it because it's must-watch TV. But we are seeing how she's being treated.
But asking for fair treatment in the WNBA these days is like asking a cat to do your taxes. Technically possible, but only if you're into chaos and disappointment. It's almost impressive how consistently inconsistent these refs manage to be. One minute, they're calling travel like they're on a world tour. The next minute, they're ignoring body slams with the serenity of a Buddhist monk on mute. And let's talk about the flagrant foul that never was. Clark got hit so hard, her soul left her body and tried to enter the transfer portal. Even the Atlanta bench winced, and still, no whistle. The refs just stood there like extras in a courtroom drama who forgot their lines. If Caitlin had brought her own whistle, she could have refereed the game more fairly from the bench. In fact, a golden retriever with a ref jersey and a basic understanding of gravity would have done better than this crew. And the dog wouldn't be blinded by ego.
If there's no drama, there's no action, bro. At this point, then we got WNBA referees just standing there letting all type of things go down. But I'm here to tell you, dog, I'm going to stay on top of it each and every game, each and every time we see Caitlin Clark step out on the court. If there are any wrongdoings, you can count on me to call it out. And I'm telling you right now, we have another situation of that.
You could practically hear the ref's inner monologue. Clark just got body checked into the Gatorade cooler. That seems like good defense. Play on. Meanwhile, Atlanta trips over their own shoelaces, and suddenly it's a clear path foul on Indiana. Absolutely Olympic-level gaslighting. Fans didn't pay to see basketball. They paid to witness interpretive officiating. The refs weren't enforcing rules. They were performing spoken-word poetry in whistle format. Every call was a mystery, every non-call a philosophical question. Is a foul still a foul if you ignore it hard enough? According to this crew, the answer is a resounding, who cares? At halftime, the stat sheet might as well have read Caitlin Clark, 17 points, 5 assists, 4 rebounds, and 6 crimes against referee egos. The dream, blessed by the divine intervention of zebra clergy. And the refs, 37 technicals, 2 emotional breakdowns, and a strong chance of needing glasses. Even the commentators were trying to keep it together. You could hear them hesitating, struggling to not say what we were all thinking. That was interesting. Translation: this officiating is a war crime against common sense.
We have now seen her talking about the referees, and this is the best way. This is the best way you can do it. It's the best way you can do it. We know, we've seen Christy Sides in the media do almost nothing. Apparently last year it got so bad that Lynn Dunn, it only came out this age, she had to actually send clips to the league, and it's like, this is ridiculous. This refereeing's ridiculous.
Even the Fever's head coach couldn't keep a lid on the chaos anymore. At first, she tried to play it cool, masking her frustration like a pro. But as the game spiraled into an officiating nightmare, even her best poker face cracked. It reached a point where she was practically devouring the WNBA refs with her eyes. If Glares could file a lawsuit, she'd be in court. Watching her on the sidelines was like witnessing a high-stakes game of charades gone completely off the rails. She was flailing her arms, stomping the floor, pantomiming the most obvious fouls, clear as daylight to everyone except the 3 blind mice in stripes. The refs, meanwhile, stood around blinking into the void like someone had just asked them to interpret ancient hieroglyphs scrawled on a cave wall. There was a foul? Where? Who? What is a foul anyway? It was less like officiating a basketball game and more like trying to teach algebra to a sack of onions. Absolutely no comprehension, 0 feedback, and a whole lot of tears, mostly from the fans. You could feel the frustration rippling through the arena like a broken Wi-Fi signal. Constant, infuriating, and just plain ridiculous.
Boston continues to show her frustration. It really started a couple.
And just when you thought the officiating couldn't get worse, the fourth quarter happened. Caitlin hit a clutch 3-pointer. Network clean. Nothing but cord. Crowd goes wild. Whistle blows. But not for the basket. No, the refs decided something happened. No one knew what. Not even the announcers. The call? Illegal vibes? Unauthorized confidence? Who knows? The basket stood, but the message was clear. Don't get too comfortable. By now, Clark had acquired enough phantom fouls to qualify for an exorcism. And while she tried to keep her cool, the crowd was seconds away from storming the court with pitchforks made of foam fingers and nacho trays. And somehow, in the dying seconds, with the game tighter than a drum, Clark gets mugged on a fast break like it's Black Friday at Best Buy. She goes down. Nothing. No whistle. The Atlanta Dream take the ball the other way, hit a shot, and suddenly they're heroic underdogs, winning a hard-fought battle. Right. And I'm the Queen of England.
The WNBA refs are not consistent. A hit to the arm on one play is a foul, and a hit to the arm on another play is not a foul. The inconsistency is really bad for this league, especially with all these players you got coming in. You got Caitlin leading it, right? You got Juju Watkins, she'll be in next year. You got Paige, she'll be in next year.
The buzzer sounds. Atlanta celebrates like they won gold at the Olympics. Meanwhile, the refs are busy high-fiving each other in Morse code. Caitlin Clark walks off the court looking like someone who's just finished a group project where her teammates lit the textbook on fire. Post-game, the excuse parade began. It was a physical game. Translation: we let them play murder ball and just kind of hoped no one noticed. There's a learning curve for rookies. Sure, and apparently it's shaped like a mountain on fire being climbed barefoot during an earthquake. Let's get real. If Caitlin Clark were a third-string bench player from a market no one cared about, she wouldn't be getting whistle-targeted like she's the star of a mafia witness trial. This isn't rookie growing pains. This is a hit job disguised as learning the ropes, where the ropes are wrapped tightly around her ankles. The WNBA wants stars, right? They want attention, viewership, highlights. And yet, the moment a true phenomenon walks in the door, the refs treat her like she's disrupting their fantasy league. You can't build a league on talent and then let the refs detonate it like a piñata full of spite.
And you can't say that a referee or a coach coming on screaming at a ref doesn't change things. It's not going to do any good. I was like during the game, like, someone needs to take a tack from Indiana. They've had it was like 6 calls in a row went against Indiana. There was a play when there was literally a sequence of play where they got called for a BS offensive foul. They got called, Aaliyah Boston scored an open layup and they called her for, or Leah Boston scored an and one, they called her for a travel. She didn't move either pivot foot. Like, she kind of came down off the dribble and she didn't even move at pivot foot, let alone her pivot foot. She didn't move either foot. She didn't even establish a pivot foot by the time the ball went into the basket. Like, you can't really call a travel without establishing a pivot foot. And they called that, and a few things were going wrong. And this is like maybe 90 seconds after the DeWanna Bonner situation where they've used all of their...
Imagine Tom Brady getting penalized for existing on the field. Imagine Steph Curry being told, yeah, that three-pointer was too clean, take a seat. That's what this feels like. A punishment for being too good, too soon, and too unwilling to just smile and dribble quietly. Meanwhile, Atlanta walks off with a W that feels about as legitimate as a diploma from Hogwarts. Congratulations, you won a game because the refs decided to roleplay as undercover operatives for chaos. I hope the confetti tastes like regret. Caitlin Clark will bounce back. That's what stars do. But if the WNBA is serious about growing the game, they need to get their officials out of whatever fever dream they're living in. Because right now, these referees are to basketball what raccoons are to fine dining. Loud, messy, and absolutely not supposed to be there. This wasn't a game. It was an officiating blooper reel disguised as competition. A masterclass in how to suck the joy out of something beautiful. The WNBA wants respect? Start with competent referees, or at least ones who aren't allergic to logic.
My God, the officiating was on full display tonight. It was terrible. Ken Swift, all the national TV exposure, you would think they would want some good officiating to keep the people engaged. This is horrific. It was god-awful. Connor McCaffrey, Caitlin Clark's boyfriend. Good to see the W refs in mid-season form.
Until then, the only thing Caitlin Clark's opponents need to beat her isn't skill, talent, or even a coherent game plan. It's just a striped shirt, an overactive whistle, and maybe a referee with a flair for theatrical overreach. Forget defending her. Just wait for the whistle to do the heavy lifting. Clark could sneeze in the general direction of the basket, and someone in a zebra uniform would call a technical. And let's not forget the most essential piece of equipment, a mirror. So after the final buzzer, the refs can take a long, proud look at themselves and say, Great job, team. We successfully made sure nobody had fun today. Sure, the Atlanta Dream technically got the win. Good for them. But let's not kid ourselves. The real MVPs were the officials. Most villainous performance of the night, no contest. Oscar-worthy dramatics, flawless timing, and an unshakable commitment to turning a basketball game into a whistle symphony.